how the FTX scandal is affecting the whole DeFi space. Is it true that more people are trying to join DeFi in order to avoid the risk because they want to have the custody of their cryptos, or it is just a false myth? Let's discover it together, because as you will see, there are a couple of findings that are quite interesting and quite unexpected. So let's start immediately. Let me say that this channel is about educational content and nothing has to be intended as financial advice. And if you want to know more about our different channels, our different contents, let's check it out. The links into the description below, where you can find also the best way to support us. Don't forget to leave us a big thumbs up and drop a comment. And if you want to have access to our free newsletter, feel free to click on our link into the right corner here. Okay, guys, let's start immediately. So what is the state of the art right now of the DeFi space after the whole FTX crash? Well, the first finding is that Solana simply dropped out the top 10 DeFi ecosystem. As you can see, if we go to Defi Llama, you will see that we have in the first position Ethereum, followed by BSC, so Binance Smart Chain, Tron, Polygon, Avalanche, Arbitrum, Optimism, so 2-layer 2 of Ethereum. And to find Solana, we need to click here, and it is just behind Kronos and just before DeFi Chain and Kava. So it is literally right now a small ecosystem. It is counting just on 287 million. If you're wondering why, well, there are two main reasons. First of all, there is the outflow of assets that is going from Solana to other ecosystems that are retained more safe. On the other side, we have to remind that each ecosystem is composed mainly by tokens of that ecosystem. For example, when it comes to Solana, it is composed by Sol, Serum, the token of Serum, Radium, Orca, and so on. And all of this token has been hit by the crash of FTX so badly. Solana has gone down by 60% in just a couple of days. Serum has gone down by another 70%, and so happened for all the different tokens. That's the reason why also the overall total value locked into Solana is so low. Does it mean that it's the end of the Solana ecosystem? Well, it's really too early to say. And on the other side, I still think that it could be. There is still space to grow. The point is that how the Solana ecosystem will be able to restart after this big stop, and most of all, they will have enough money, enough VC capital that is flowing still into the Solana ecosystem to keep growing and keep building something that is cool, or simply these funds will move from Solana to other spaces? Because that's the first question we have to answer. And that's not for granted, because as always, to build something, it is needed money. Without money, you can't build anything. So if more money will flow on Solana, it is still possible to see a rebirth of Solana. If something like that will not happen, well, pay attention to all the new ecosystem like Aptos, Sui, Quai, and all the different Rust-based ecosystems that can literally change the market and can literally overcome Solana. On the other side, if we check the overall state of the art of the industry, you will see that most of the main protocols has been suffering a lot. For example, also Curve is down by 36% just in the last month, Convex 42% because obviously it's connected to Curve, and so on. So the overall ecosystem is suffering. The total value locked has gone down by 20%, but is it true that after the FTX, there is more interest into the DeFi? So there are people that are swapping more into DeFi instead of using checks? Well, if we have to consider just the TVL, the answer is not. Let's give a look to the fees collected by the different protocols to check if at least maybe they are not locking their tokens into the DeFi, but they are using more DeFi instead of previously compared to the previous moment. Well, we can use token terminal for this purpose, and this is the chart of the fees collected by each protocol in the last year. As you can see, we are still far away from the situation that was here until May, but down here you will find there is a spike. This spike is just around the days of the FTX crash. So if we try also to zoom in a little bit more, this is the 30 days chart, you will see that yes, it is true that we had this spike in a moment of the maximum hype around FTX, but the reality is that the situation just a couple of days later has gone back to the same level of previous the FTX crash, or even worse, because if you check what happened just 19, 17, 18, it is literally the lowest point in the last 30 days. So to answer your question, is it true that more people are using DeFi because they are scared about a centralized exchange? Well, from this point of view, from the point of view of the fees that are collected, it's not true. If you're wondering why we are using fees, it's because in a moment when you're using any kind of protocol, you're obviously paying fees. And the higher are the fees, the more volume it means that is going through DeFi exchanges. And the same kind of history could be noticed also if we check two different stuff. First of all, on CoinGlass, we can go on down here and just check the open interest. And as you can see, yes, we had a little bit of crash during the days of FTX, because obviously FTX was one of the most important, was the second biggest exchange when it comes to futures. And it's true that in these days we have a shrinking, a downfall in terms of open interest, but to be fair, we are still above the open interest on June. That is showing us that the centralized exchange are still used quite a lot. Going on, we can find the same kind of evidence in the moment when we analyze the net flow inside exchanges. As you can see, it is true that starting from the 7th of November until the 16th, we had more outflows instead of inflows. So more people were withdrawing funds from centralized exchanges. But the situation changed around last week, we can say, when we have started to see more inflows into the exchange. In this moment, we are just talking about Bitcoin. If we try to check ETH, you will see that the situation is approximately the same, even if the level of outflows is still higher than compared to what we have seen on Bitcoin. And just in the last day, we have started to see a net flow that is positive. I want to add one thing when it comes to inflow and outflow, because there is something we should pay attention to, and I'm referring to the proof of reserve. For example, here, if we go to data, centralized exchange transparency, you will find the different wallets and different numbers. So it's also possible that all the inflows, outflows are also considering the movements that have been done by the different centralized exchanges to move funds in and out the exchanges. So all of this data should be obviously reconsidered also into the overall situation. I would prefer to wait at least another couple of weeks before judging this data in order to understand what will be the overall situation in the moment when all the different proof of reserves will be disclosed and the situation will be calm from that point of view. So just trying to summarize, we have a situation, DeFi speaking, that is not so good in terms of TVL because this number is going down. From the fundamental point of view, I can tell you that it is incredible how much the DeFi ecosystem has grown in the last couple of years, and most of all in the last year, even if the total market cap of this project has gone down. And that's something that is making me feel really bullish about DeFi. On the other side, I'm really worried because right now, most of the projects are still struggling because the ones that were funding their activities through their token in this moment are struggling more than the others. And as I was telling you in the moment when we were talking about Solana, it will pretty much be related to the situation of VCs, where their money will flow. According to which ecosystem will benefit at most from this inflow of money, also the whole situation will change and we will have some winner and some loser. That's the reason why I highly recommend you, just guys, Don't go all in, even if for any reason you are seeing, yeah, spikes like this is Uniswap, and that's true that according to the last data, we had a big spike in the moment when FTX was affected. But the reality is that after that, the volume has gone again down, and the overall situation is showing a DeFi market is still unused. It doesn't matter that the fundamentals are great. The point is that people are still struggling to join the DeFi space and start using it. Why? Well, mainly because it's still too complicated. The people are not in love anymore, at least not as they were, we can say 1 year ago, something like that, with the whole crypto space. So we will literally have to wait for another spring of DeFi or another DeFi summer like we had in 2020. Yes, it will come sooner or later, but this is not yet the time. For the ones of you that were thinking, okay guys, after the FTX scandal, more people will join DeFi and maybe this could be the trigger to start a new DeFi summer. Well, that's not a point because we are still in a big winter where it's pretty evident if we try to go maximum here, you will see that we are far away from what we had for all the 2020, but also 2021 when we had an increasing in terms of usage of DeFi. Right now we had just a spike for a couple of days, but nothing significant and nothing that is suggesting us that centralized exchanges will be overcome by DeFi. And again, guys, pay attention to these metrics, open interest to the net inflow into the centralized exchanges, to the TVL of DeFi, and obviously to the fees collected by the different DeFi protocols, because these are the metrics that will show you if, for any reason, and if in any moment, we will have a flow going from centralized exchanges to DeFi. That's something that probably sooner or later will come. Obviously, we still have to solve a couple of problems. First of all, scalability, because right now DeFi is not able to process so many transactions as centralized exchanges are able to do. On the other side, security, because obviously the level of security on DeFi is not yet the same on centralized exchanges, even if we saw that centralized exchanges are far from being secure. And again, use centralized exchanges just to trade. So put your money in if you want to trade. Don't use them as a custodian, because it's not your keys, not your cryptos. Remember it, because it's so important. Third, we need a much easier user experience. In the moment when we will have these three elements, experience, scalability, and security, in that moment, I'm sure that DeFi will explode, will literally grow so much. Until that moment, let's calm down, chill down, and let's try to understand more about the fundamentals, find out in which way the different projects are evolving. And yes, because the opportunity to find the next big 100x, maybe even 1000x, it is still here waiting for us, and we have to be ready for that and be ready to catch it. Guys, so let me know, what do you think about the overall situation? Which is your favorite protocol, and in which moment do you think we will have a movement, a change from centralized exchanges to DeFi? Let me know it in the comment section below, and don't forget to leave us a big thumbs up, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye guys.